Well, greetings from Texas. Today we're going to cook up some fried chicken on the Trangia stove. And what you're hearing in the background are the cicadas. Okay, we're going to cook kind of my version of Kentucky Fried Chicken wings. You can now get the 11 secret spices or whatever it was for KFC online. One thing I noticed watching other people trying to clone it is they're just doing it wrong. KFC gets their chicken in I think 10 or 12 piece bags, and how they prep them is they bring them out of the reefer unit, let them get to room temperature, and they dump the chicken in a brine solution, shake it off, and then they toss it in the flour. There's no egg, no batter, which I see people doing, and they're wondering why it doesn't taste like the original recipe. So anyway, I think I have 5 or 6 chicken wings, and I cut the tips off. I save the tips and freeze them, and I use them to make chicken broth. But and then I parted these wings out, and I put them in about a half a cup. Actually, I think it was a cup of water with some non-iodized salt, sea salt. And I'm just letting it sit here, getting up to ambient temperature, anywhere from a half hour to an hour. When you're frying meat or chicken, you don't want to throw cold meat in your oil. It's going to bring down the temperature of your oil. It's going to splatter. Well, it's always going to spatter if it's wet, but anyway, it's also going to shock the proteins in the meat, kind of make it tougher. By brining it, it's going to pull some water, and it's already absorbed quite a bit of water. So it's going to make your meat a little juicier. And then this is my version of KFC's mix. This is 1 cup of flour, a teaspoon of granulated salt, just regular table salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. I take that back. 1 teaspoon of garlic salt, 1 teaspoon of onion powder. I don't know if I mentioned 1 teaspoon of black pepper, but the key to the flavor in Kentucky Fried Chicken is white pepper. So I have a full tablespoon of white pepper. Okay, again, this is a cup of flour. I added a little bit of sage and some cayenne pepper. If you want a little bit of color, you could throw paprika in, but I find just with those spices, especially with the white pepper, it gives me that original KFC flavor, and you don't it's just a waste to use the other spices. You can use whatever spices you want, just be liberal. Use a lot of spices, a lot of salt. That's all going to cook off in the frying process. Most of that's going to cook off anyway, so you want to have enough to give your chicken some flavor. So let's get started. All right, so I'm going to drain this chicken. I'm going to do this off camera so it'll get my picnic area all salmonella-y. Okay, so I thought I drained my chicken. Anyway, I'll take the chicken, and I highly suggest you go to a dollar store and get these tongs. They're great for campfire management and other things like that. So let's get this chicken dredged. Okay, I'm going to add my oil, and just don't add too much oil. I'm only going to do 4 or 5 pieces. Still some water in that pan. Get it burn out. So you don't want to overcrowd your pan, but you don't want to fill it up too much or you're going to get a boil over, which is no bueno, no good. Okay, that water's almost done evaporating now. You can always add more oil. It's really hard to take it out. All right, let's add our oil. I'm going to go just about a ½ an inch below that seam. The hardest part is I don't have a simmer ring. Get this closer so you can see. So, I don't know if I'll get the oil too hot. Anyway, I'll come back when the oil gets up to temperature. Okay, it's been 7 minutes and we're up to 343, 345. I don't know if you saw that. Anyway, I took my chicken, dusted it off. You want your fry temperature around 325, 350. Try not to get it hotter than 375. So I'm going to cook similar sized pieces at the same time so they have the same cook time. And you don't want to overcrowd the pan. Watch that level come up. That's why you don't want to fill that thing up too high. So we're going to see if we can do 4 pieces at a time. We're going to do all these little baby drumsticks first. Alright, that's about the max. You don't want it to boil over. Keep an eye on it. So let's check it after about 5 minutes. I don't know if you can see, but that oil dropped down to about 290. So slowly coming back up. Okay, it's been 6 minutes. Let's go ahead and check the color. Not quite the golden brown. It's still a little firm. We'll come back in another minute. Okay, we're 8 minutes into this thing. Looking at 330 degrees. And I think these are ready to come off. You want to let these things rest. Oh yeah, that's a nice color. At least 10 minutes, like any other meat. It's better to let it cool on a wire rack. You just don't want to wrap it up in like a paper towel, otherwise it'll end up steaming. And it won't be as crunchy. So these are a little bit thinner pieces, smaller bones. So it shouldn't take as long. By the time you get your last batch off, that first batch will be ready to eat. Okay, let's come back a little bit later through the miracle of time. Let me cook these others up. Oh, I almost forgot. I like to put a little bit more pepper while we're cooling off here. Okay, we're 7 minutes into these other part of the wing. Still at a good fry temperature. As long as you're above 300, you're doing good. All right, let's see. Okie dokie. I can see one of the pieces appearing toward the surface. Usually means it's done. And I just ran out of fuel. Alrighty, reuse that oil. You can make oil lamps out of it if you have an old cotton t-shirt, a soda can, or a bottle. Here's our chicken. That first chicken should be ready to taste. That was good. Meat's coming right off the bum. There's no blood. Juices are clear and it's juicy. And that's good. Alright, so this is my first attempt at frying with a Trangia stove. It worked out pretty good. Man, that's good. So it's been versatile. I've done a breakfast, and this is my third supper meal. Just kind of showing you what you can do with these mess kits if you want to take the time to do it. Alright, well, I'm going to finish this chicken. So if you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. Please like or subscribe and share my video. Thanks for watching.